What is going on, guys? We're back again. Tim, Fogmate, Josh. Special down we have. A little break from the norm that we're doing. This is a little invention of Josh reading mail or questions from the wall or something of that nature. And I guess I will just bring it back to you guys. Tim.
This is the messages. So I'm gonna answer. We're gonna do Madison to Cersei. His question is that are the Houston Texans a quarterback away from going to the Super Bowl? And my answer to Madison is yes. They are a quarterback away. Number one defense, offense looks great, but you can have a quarterback who throws for 15 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, 42 quarterback rating. That's horrible. We saw what he did in the playoffs Sunday, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, very disgusting. And again, he has really 7 game experience from holding down the fork with Denver. It's not the same. He is the Texans right now need Tony Romo.
Interesting. But yeah, obviously with the question, I was going to say, how could you say no? You could argue that they could add another big threat at wide receiver, or you could say that they could add a smash mouth threat along with Lamar Miller. But all in all, it was yet another postseason exit for the Texans, mainly due to the QB play. O'Brien constantly put the blame on himself, but anyone with vision could obviously see where the downfall of the team is stemming from. Last year, the Texans had a similar story, just with a different Q, and Brian Hoyer. 4 INTs, a fumble by himself, led to a 30-0 slaughtering by the Chiefs. So O'Brien has won the division the past few years, and he's finished all 3 years at 9-7 since he's been in Houston, but he's not going to get above that threshold until he finds a competent quarterback. That's just the bottom line, really, in Houston right now.
Across the boards, we all agree Brock Osweiler is just that. He can't get it done. It's that simple. And they for some reason, Houston has a horrible history in getting quarterbacks and having them do absolutely nothing. So they got the talent. Again, they could add. I think they could add another running back there to complement Lamar Miller because of his health issues. But damn, that's a loaded team, and they are truly a quarterback away from being a contender.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. That's going to bring us to our second question here. Second question is from Bob Stager. It's him. Will the AB issue become a bigger issue if Antonio Brown plays bad and the Steelers lose? Now, Tomlin was saying, he's saying these words behind closed doors for a reason. In my opinion, in the NFL, for a good work environment to exist, there needs to be some level of privacy. You got to be able to express your ideas and your emotions behind closed doors once in a while, especially after a huge playoff win against the Chiefs. Tomlin and anyone else in that room deserves to celebrate in their own fashion, even if that includes profanity-laced expressions and getting their minds prepared for a Super Bowl shot. So I'm sure most of us would agree that AB is the best receiver in football, unless you want to be petty and get cute and put him at 2. Some of us in here might. But for a guy who makes split-second decisions on the field, his off-field awareness is sometimes a little surprising. He's got to think of these things through more before acting them out. All in all, I don't think it becomes a bigger issue if they lose. It will definitely be fodder, though, for the Patriots' bulletin board, and it's definitely going to put more pressure on him solely, though, to perform well in the matchup.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. I think it was after the game. It wasn't taken away from anything. It wasn't like their day off and he flew off somewhere that it's going to put him under the gun and under the spotlight. So it's just it's a stupid, immature thing that he did. And even if he performs bad, I think it's going to be more, well, the Patriots got his number, as opposed to him doing this. This just doesn't affect his game or the game at all for the Steelers.
Well, I think it's a very big deal. Very big deal. Yeah, but here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a certain young receiver that basically he didn't do anything wrong with somebody. He just made a questionable move going on a little vacation trip. What was surrounded by him that was on social media in the video. And then the result was how he performed on Sunday with the Giants. And he didn't even look good. Now, I'm not saying that if Antonio Brown goes all out and he wins, this should be thrown away. Oh, no. Because here's the thing. You embarrass the head coach. They were saying that that's his norm. You can't say, oh, he's immature. He's going to grow up. This is a 29 going on a 30-year-old man. And when you see that video, okay, it wasn't like he was by himself. There's other followers with him. If you're the best player on the team, the number one guy, and you're doing things like that, it shouldn't have taken you to get caught to realize, yo, you got these guys following you. Now, Antonio Brown is the star. Who was the other two guys? I hope they wasn't rookies, because you got the right to be away from what the coach is saying. And on top of that, the coach was giving them, he was dropping F-bombs like it's normal. What I want you to do, I need you to do. So basically, the other side lock, be like, all right, yeah, whatever. I'm looking at my face. I mean, that to me, it is a big deal. And the only great thing about it was how Mike Tomlin handled it, how Big Ben said I was disappointed. Mike Tomlin basically said how disappointed he was, put him in his place, but at the same time, let us all know this guy is a great player. He works hard. So I respect that. But at the same time, this got to be a big deal, because the thing is this is only probably the beginning. See, social media is a big thing. And the thing is, the NFL back in the days, we respected privacy. We want privacy. The less you know about our business, the better it is. Listen, let's keep it real. They were doing things back then even worse than that. Imagine back then in social media. It'd be a courtroom full of guys. It'd be a courtroom. So
that's right.
It is a big thing.
I get your point. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, because, you look back in time, and if Vince Lombardi or somebody like him saw this happening, he'd be doing double axles in his coffin right now.
Disgusting.
But the times are changing in a sense, and we now have – what's an incentive to get you to come to the stadium now, Tim? What is Dallas Cowboys doing now with their – what do they have? They have cameras inside their locker room, and I know the Giants are doing it as well. They're doing more things like that kind of crap to get you to see, it's like an in-game experience, be one with the players, be inside the locker room. And I think that may have been kind of what resonated in AB's mind, is that kind of like, let's give them the culture of the – all right, Sean, I got you. Give them kind of the experience of the culture of the locker room a little bit. It was stupid. It was selfish. It was arrogant. Yes, we all agree with that. But at the same time, I'm kind of going to bat for AB a little bit. Like, he probably thought he was giving the fans a bit more of an experience after a playoff win. Let's celebrate together. Us as one. Kind of a Pittsburgh. We're all in kind of thing. But you're right. Yeah, that's why it's a locker room, and that's why it's closed doors. He has to make that connection. There's some things where your cell phone should not be on, and I agree with you. I believe if you're in the locker room, your coach is speaking, your damn cell phone should be turned off in your bag, in your duffel bag, inside your locker. You shouldn't even be on it. I agree with you, but I think that's where he was coming off. Times are changing. We're getting more with media access. I think he was just trying to be friendly with the fans and give them a little happiness along with that. Kind of share it.
All right, next question. Does Jacksonville give Bortles one more year? Well, no. I'm kind of mixed with this, all because is now, I believe, the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tom Coughlin now is over there. Okay, so we all know how it works. New head coach, new management, changes will be made. Now, if you look at Blake Bortles' numbers, last year he had 35 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. Was a blowout year. Then this year he had 23 to 16. He didn't have a bad passing year, but the team was horrible. And when you have a nice roster, when you're a nice roster like the Jacksonville Jaguars, you expect something better. I thought this team was going to compete in the playoffs, and apparently, they didn't. To answer the question to Madison, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this next year will be his last year. Why? Because he got drafted in 2015, and the thing is now, I believe this season coming up will be his last year. Where I believe they have to pick up an option, and I think that'll be the time they're gonna see how this guy is, how he performs, and if he can't do that 1 year under Doug Monroe, he's gone. I think they will start looking elsewhere.
Yeah, it's a little confusing to me because I know once Coughlin came aboard, he's now the VP with them. He was saying he was not a Bortles guy, but then I believe once Doug Marrone was kind of stapled in as, he's going to be our future head coach, it was both him and Coughlin citing that, Blake Bortles is now our guy. So to me, that kind of leads me to believe that Coughlin and Marrone are going to kind of play the nice guy with Bortles, not shake his confidence early in January because it's still quite a bit of ways until April. So let's keep him, keep him on his pedestal for now. Let's have him keep working hard. But this is Blake's third season, and it wasn't a pretty one considering when someone was taking 33 picks after him was a potential MVP candidate this year before going down with a broken fibula in Derek Carr. So with Doug Marrone, I believe if I was a Jaguars fan, I would want someone new coming in fresh in the QB position with the new head coach and with how young our roster is, especially with the incoming draft classes we have had the past couple of seasons. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but I don't believe Bortles is the answer right now, and he's shown in his third year. He's even regressed. So I think Jacksonville could go for a potential QB right here in the first round, whether it's like Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Kaiser, or Deshaun Watson. I think one of them could easily fall to the Jags.
Yeah, unfortunately, it probably is his last season. He's definitely going to be under the gun. But I don't think it was as much of him personally regressing as it was the team as a whole. What that team did last season compared to this season, and what the expectations were, why Gus Bradley's no longer there. I think coaching was a big issue. He still completed 58% of his passes, which is on par for his career thus far. His passer rating the last 2 years has been 78 and above. So it's not like he's a bad quarterback. I just think he's in a bad situation with no quality leadership. And unfortunately, next season, this team is going to have to do something to help him out. You can't have him dropping back and throwing 30-plus passes. You got to provide a running game. Chris Ivory, they brought him in there for him, and it didn't work out because of injuries. Yeldon, the expectation was they were going to be able to keep the ground game going and allow this guy to work off of that, and they weren't able to do it at all. And then that defense was just a complete disaster. But unfortunately, yeah, he's going to be under the gun.
Yes, sir. Okay. It's going to bring us to our last question of this down. And this one is by Randy Brown. Is it better for the NFL to have the same few teams represent the AFC, or is it better to have a variety, kind of like the NFC has had the past decade or 15 years or so? This was an interesting one because this isn't a topic you really hear discussed much on sports outlets or read much in magazines. It's one of those hypotheticals. And kind of delving into it and thinking about it for some time, I think this is the reason what makes the NFL and sports in general so great is because you have these debates. And the reason we have these debates is because we're always talking about these what ifs and how, buts, whys, and we discussed, I think it was just last week, how would the Patriots perform if they were in the NFC East? Because we always talk about the AFC is such a weak conference compared to the NFC over the past decade or so. And I think that's what makes the sport so interesting and so great is because you do have these little factors that make you go, So I think that's what makes the league so great is because you have these prodigies like, Brady, Roethlisberger, and Rodgers, and, these are the QB, especially in the AFC. It's been the same 2 or 3 quarterbacks, Peyton, Tom, and Ben going to the championship game for the past 15 years. And that's why people will argue that the AFC doesn't have as much competition as the NFC does if you look at the timetable. But in my opinion, I think that's what makes it so interesting with the NFL, is because you do have these conferences that are alike but so different in some terms and aspects.
I think it's great for the NFL. I think it's absolutely great to have one or two or even three dominant teams where you're seeing a little more parity in the other conference. And it's for nothing more than shock factor. There's a value to having that one team that everybody dislikes or that everybody likes, that everybody's rooting for, looking to bring down, in this case, the Patriots. You see the level of dominance that's been going on there, and it's like, okay, who's going to come up and who's going to stop these guys? Even in those conferences, okay, we're talking, can Kansas City come up and can Kansas City do this? Can Kansas City stop them? The Texans, if they get a quarterback, can they be a team that now? So there's so many narratives that could be drummed up with it. I think it's great for the NFL. It's great, like you said, Josh, for sports in general. It's why people watch to see if LeBron James, who's going to beat him, who's going to take him out, even in the crappy Eastern Conference. Can the Raptors actually do it this year? So that drama, that build, it brings in an audience. It brings in people, even the casual fans saying, oh, man, people are saying, I'm hearing on ESPN and this media outlet and that media outlet that this team could beat New England. Maybe I'm going to tune in this weekend and see what this team is about and see if they could beat them. So I think it's great for the NFL.
I mean, I got mixed feelings. I understand what you guys are saying, because with having these teams, dominant teams, it's great. Don't get me wrong. You got to beat them. You just got to beat them, plain and simple. But then again, sometimes it gets kind of like questionable, like people bring into politics, like, because it's just like, for instance, with Dallas, the team was asked to do Sunday Night Football the last 4 or 5 games of the season because of the ratings. So the Cowboys helped the NFL pick up the ratings. So my thing is this: when you have that, is that okay in a Super Bowl, if you have a surprise team in the playoff versus a dominant team like the Patriots, well, we can't have that team win because the Super Bowl the prices will go down, people will hate it. That's the problem. And it just was reported how when the Cowboys lost, the sales went down 20%. So, I mean, I would, don't get me wrong, you got to beat these teams. But I would love a new division, a new realignment. Listen, it's like we had it with the Cardinals, with the NFC East. They end up going to another division. I wouldn't mind that. In the AFC, you have Tom Brady, you got Big Ben, which is the 2 top 5 quarterbacks. Everybody else just keep changing. In the NFC, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Eli Manning, who is the surprise team, every other couple of years.
Yeah, but Tim, you're talking about organizational. When you look at the one thing that all these teams have in common that are being dominant, it's the organization. It's the way they're structured from top to bottom, from the front office down to the coaching staff. So it doesn't matter what division you put these teams in. Well, that organization already has a foundation built. They're going to find the talent, and they're going to still do what they do. It's not going to change the dynamic of that team.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Fogman, because now, don't get mad, Fogman. Don't get mad. This goes back into the argument we had last week. Last week, me and you, Josh, were discussing and on the wall about the New England Patriots. That organization and structure compared to the Jets, Miami, and Buffalo. The Patriots have Tom Brady. They drafted Gronkowski. Okay, they don't sign players. They had a very fortunate draft. Now, when you had Bob Kraft stole Belichick from the Jets when he was to sign with the Jets, he stole Belichick. From years on, great staff, great job, everything. You got the Buffalo Bills, you got the Miami Dolphins, and you got the New York Jets. Every 2-3 years, they change owners. They change GM, change coaches like underwear all the time. So when you keep switching, you keep starting over, when are you going to be able to stay where you at and just build and compete with a team like the Patriots? My thing is this, okay? I can't wait when Tom Brady retires. I guarantee you there'll be a 6-10 division winner in that division.
No,
It's gonna show.
No, they won't.
7-9. 7-9.
7-9. No, they won't.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
All right,
done.
guys. That's us down. Unless there's anybody got the last word to say, we catch you guys back in the third final
Let's get
down.
these picks in.
Let's get this picks. We're right back, guys.